the moon and the stars in the skies. I swear, like the shadow that's by your side.
Kitty litter.
I see the
So 30 years ago, this song was number one at some point in 1994.
I remember these
Yeah.
guys. They're from Atlanta, right?
All for one. I don't know. I have no idea.
Because they sang during the World Series. They sang the national anthem.
Okay.
And they ended it with, "And the home of the Braves." And then the Yankees went and annihilated them. That's how I remember.
Look at how proud you were to say that.
Yeah, I was very proud.
I bring this up because something in the news, and the world has changed, as Danny has pointed out. We try to be more tolerant of certain things, but I think some things have changed for the good, and I think that there's almost, if you look for anything, you're going to find it, and nowadays you can find. I think that's why our ability to communicate sometimes isn't as good, because whatever you want to believe, you're going to find something to support that, which therefore then makes you correct, right?
Yeah.
And when we feel right, we feel emboldened, and that's where we run into certain things, like, just that doesn't work. Here is a piece from News 10 NBC that ran over the weekend, the NBC affiliate in the greater Rochester area.
Crazy. This is a small town. This shouldn't be happening.
A search is underway for a suspicious man approaching girls in the town of Ogden. Ogden police say they received reports that a man driving an SUV was following teenage girls around town Wednesday night.
News 10 NBC's Brett Vetter was in Ogden today.
All right, so teenage girls being followed around Ogden, and they were talking to some people, and you'll hear a dad of a young girl. Now, these are teenage girls, and this is the story.
Joins us in studio with the latest on the investigation. Brett, this is certainly disturbing.
Yeah, Eric, authorities say the man driving the SUV was caught on camera in 2 locations around Ogden and Spencerport Wednesday night, and want neighbors to be vigilant about their surroundings until they can track him down. Take a close look at these photos. Ogden Police Chief Travis Gray says the driver of this orange Nissan Rogue was the man following teenage girls around town around 4.
Yeah.
Time out.
Yes.
If you were going to chase teenage girls, would you be driving an orange car? Because that's easily identifiable.
Yeah, it's an orange-ish.
Is it like that orange gold?
Yeah.
Okay.
The red burnt. No, it was
I
an
love
SUV.
that color. Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
so it is a common color.
Yeah, it's a more common
It's not like
color.
Dukes of
They
Hazzard.
say orange. I didn't really see it as more of a reddish.
Oh, okay.
Reddish orange.
All
I
right,
would
good.
think.
Continue.
But, yeah, the other question is, are the teens hotter in Ogden? Or, I'm just saying, you got a lot of options if you're going to do this.
p.m. Wednesday night.
I mean, as a dad, as a father, as a parent, it's always staying vigilant, knowing what's going on around me.
Dan Bash and his family were heading out for a walk along Union and Canal Streets in Spencerport, one of the 2 places police say the vehicle was caught on camera. Bash says he saw the post about the suspicious car on social media, and it's why he says it's always a good idea to keep an eye out on everything going on around you, no matter where you are.
Stay vigilant, stay prepared, know what our surroundings are, know
Let's be ready for the worst, folks.
who's around us, keep an eye out for things that are going on.
After receiving the photos, investigators say they've been able to identify the SUV and the driver, an African-American man in his mid-20s with long curly hair, but have been unable to find him. The SUV was also spotted further south along Union Street and...
Who's wearing a jerry curl nowadays?
Rick.
Give it to me, girl. It's Rick James. He's got a big
James.
base. I'm Rick James.
Yes, he lived in the Buffalo area.
He's from Buffalo. He's got
on West Side Drive. Chief Gray says that officers received reports that the man approached at least 2 teenage girls, rolling down his window to speak with them before driving off. Reasons why.
So nothing happened.
I'm sorry, Charlie Murphy. It was an accident. I was having too much fun.
But nothing happened.
Parents like Jody Pellegrino says she never takes her eye off her baby girl.
I don't let her out of my eyesight. It's a crazy world out there. Just know where they are. This isn't 30 years ago where you could let your kids wander aimlessly, unfortunately.
I disagree with that statement 100%. I think that is... I totally don't disagree with that.
Okay.
Ogden police are asking anyone with information about the vehicle or the driver to contact the department at 617-6131 or call 911 if you see the SUV. Ericketta and Brett.
The SUV with the black dude driving it.
Yes.
If you see him, do not approach him. He could be doing nothing.
Well, okay. But so the news has it, the police were out there. This woman says at the end of it, you can't let your kids wander. It's not 30 years ago. 1994 was 30 years ago.
Great year, bro.
One of the worst things to happen in Monroe County happened.
Oh, yeah. Kaylee
Polton. I was at Fisher. Yeah. I had graduated. I was waiting for my apartment to be ready. And I remember the helicopters flying above because they were in East Rochester and they were looking, and it turned out to be Mark Christie killed her. Right? And let me, so here would be my thing.
I know somebody who was close to him, too.
I think that it's very, very naive to say that it's not what it was 30 years ago. No, I would argue we are safer today because we've got more cameras and more people aware. When I was a kid, you just left. You didn't have cell phones to track. You didn't have Life 360 that you could put on to follow your kids and make sure they're not speeding or anything. You just left, and shit happened. I mean, right? And most of the time, the bad stuff, the really, really horrible, life-altering things that would happen to people happened from people your parents trusted.
Right.
Look at the Catholic Church. Just as an example, I'm not picking. I'm just saying, like, that happened. There were young boys who were here in Rochester that when they opened it up and said the statute of limitations are over and you're going to get money or whatever, the suing, they were able to come forward and identified priests by name. And other people came forward and go, yeah, that happened to me too. But that was who did your parents trust if you were Catholic? The priests.
Right.
Right? The priests. Or the loved ones. Like, there's a kid, Steven Stainer. Steven Stainer got kidnapped. It was stranger abduction by somebody who the family trusted, had him over to dinner a couple of times. The whole thing. And it was a number of years. He was gone from the age 7 to 15. I'm just, so when we say things like, 30 years ago, I go, cut. First of all, that to me is the dumbest thing. Because you could let your kid, we don't anymore, which I'm not sure that's a good thing. If you want to go back to the kids peeing in the litter box, things that bother you, I feel like we're too on top, too much. There's not enough ability to skin your knee and learn from it, right? By that meaning, like, you ride in or interact with adults who aren't your parents. I don't need somebody always around. I get you out of the house, get some fresh air. I mean, get outside and play. What? Yeah.
So, two things. I want to defend the woman a little bit here.
Sure.
Only for this reason. I think we are wired to believe that life was better 30 years ago.
It wasn't.
Because here's the thing. Oh, gosh, I wish I could pull it up. Somebody on Twitter about a year ago, and I remember this, and I wish I'd saved it. Maybe I did, but I have to go back and find it.
Okay. What is it?
They posted a bunch of newspaper articles every 25 years saying life was better 25 years ago.
Of course.
Right?
Of course.
And I think it's just I don't want to call it recency bias, but I think, it is recency bias because now you hear about more things, so you think life was better then.
But we hear about more things, which to my point is it's safety. Your little neighborhood has the neighbors app or whatever it is. You find out about everything. You find out there's a coyote that wandered through somebody's yard and Bob caught it on his trail cam and keep your cats inside. Wouldn't have happened 30 years ago. Mm-hmm. That wasn't happening. We didn't have the technology. So now guess what? Your kid that identifies as a cat won't be attacked by a coyote, Danny. How about that? But do you understand what I'm saying? Like, there's so much information now and so much stuff that maybe it feels like we live in a scarier place because we hear about it all. But, I mean, we don't. The shit was going on for years. We just didn't hear about it.
So
we didn't hear about it enough. And that's where, and now you're also training your kids. You're teaching your kids. There's an effort. Don't go to strangers. Don't talk to strangers. All the online stuff. That's where you probably get a better chance of having your kid lured away is by someone posing to be somebody. I mean, there was a whole TV show. Chris Hansen got a whole career out of it.
Yeah. Till he got in trouble for something else.
But I'm just saying,
unrelated.
like, all that stuff. And
hi, have a seat.
Right. So we're able to stop the really shitty, horrible things that have always gone on. We just didn't know about it because we lived in a bubble. I mean, think about, I think of the number of kids, you would hear about a kid being snatched or something. I didn't know anyone personally that was snatched, but I mean, you sacrifice a few, millions of kids nothing happened to, is my point. Millions of kids that nothing happened to. And I think when we start living paranoid and we're always pointing at things, what an awful way to live.
It is an awful
way
way to live. I think it's also a young parent's way to live sometimes. Here's what I mean by that. I work with my brother. A lot of the business we do is on the phone. One day I decided I'm going to go take a walk and kill two birds with one stone. It was a beautiful day it was last summer, actually, right? And there's a lot of families in my neighborhood. So I go to take a walk right around 2 o'clock, 2:30, when the buses are getting out. I'm oblivious to any of that stuff. I don't have any kids. So all these parents are all coming out.
Yeah.
And this bus is like stopping every 3 houses and dropping kids off. But the parents are still coming out. And I go, holy cow, man, there's a ton of parents, moms who are home and dads who are home, even at the end of my driveway, waiting for their kids. And my brother goes, yeah, because kids are getting abducted more and more nowadays. And they're all paranoid. They're probably looking at you thinking you're ready to pick one up. I go, are you serious? He goes, no, but yeah. I go, what do you mean? He goes, they probably think you're a weirdo. I go, I'm just taking a walk. He goes, I'm breaking your balls. But the point is, though, is that's why these parents. I go, they're dropping them off in their driveways.
All right, let me give you a different side of that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
There are way more remote jobs now than ever before.
Mm-hmm.
People can work from home, and one of the great things and one of the great joys that is just a short minute is the kids getting on and off the bus.
Okay,
it really is,
mm-hmm.
and it's that. Sometimes if you're a parent that you're like, this isn't going to last forever, and you're there and you kind of try to make those moments and make memories, that I think that's great. I don't know. It could also be to make sure that no one's messing with the kid. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. To your brother's point, more and more kids getting abducted. I haven't seen it, but then again,
But it goes to your original point. It goes to your original point at the start of this segment, where if you look for things,
you're going to find
you'll find them. And he is a parent of 2 young kids now, so all of a sudden now I'm
not saying
more,
don't be
he's
vigilant.
More paranoid about that.
We told Jordan all the time, all the boys, right? But Jordan was the one I think it sunk in because he used it. I remember I told you I was at the zoo with just them. And they were 16 months apart, and I'm going, all right, let's go, fellas, time to go, get everybody into the thing. And then Jackson takes off, and there was this tunnel with a gopher hole, so you could be a gopher and poke your head out. Well, he went and sat in the middle of this thing, and I'm trying to leave. And there was a woman that I worked with, and Jordan's up on this faux ice sculpture playground thing, and I'm trying to watch him and keep him there. Hey, Dad, watch me. I'm coming down the side. And the other guy's now hiding on me, so I can't leave. It's great. It's parenting.
Yeah, right.
It's wonderful. So the woman had said, I'll watch, I'll watch Jordan and you go get Jackson. So I start heading over to get Jackson, and all of a sudden I hear, hey, lady, get away from me. You're scaring me. I've told this a million times. But that was Jordan.
Yeah.
Well, we all tell our kids, and we're more of a see something, say something. But now you've got Ring doorbell cameras, trail cameras, cameras in your pocket, security cameras. Everything's caught pretty much. So I'm like, no one's getting away with stealing your kid. They're just not. And the ones you should fear are the ones that are closest to you, unfortunately, that maybe you don't know that well. I mean, it was, I have openly talked about being molested at 7 years old. It was by a babysitter who my parents trusted, right? Someone who they trusted. And I think that's the same thing here. But when we say things like, well, it was 30 years ago, I go, really? Because one of the worst things happened 30 years ago, and I haven't heard about it happening today, and that's a great thing.
Yeah.
That's a great thing. And all this technology, it's a great thing. But I would say this, follow your gut. Right? You got to follow your gut. And I don't like the living paranoid. Something's always going to get me. Something's always, it's an ugly way to live.
It's hard because your stomach will never rest.
Right. So I'm just going, when something doesn't feel right, if you're in a situation, you go, I should probably get out of here. This isn't for me. Then do it. That's a smart thing. That's something, you know what that is?
Calamari comes out of a box instead of being homemade.
That might be God telling you, don't eat here again. I don't know. Have a conversation with your kids. But I would say follow your gut. But I heard that lady go, it's not 30 years ago where you can just let your kids run outside. And I'm like,
I'll give an interview.
I think it's way safer to do that now than it ever was before.
Yeah, there's cameras everywhere.
Yes. No one's getting away
When
with
the Amazon
shit.
box like shows up.
There's
Porch pirates.
Right. Or most of the like even the Kia boys, we caught a lot of them. They were on camera in certain places. I don't know. Maybe
Big Brother's watching you, except when you actually need Big Brother.
Right. Maybe I'm naive. Maybe I live in this.
I just feel bad for this dude, because he all of a sudden, like, if you drive an orange Rogue or a burnt, whatever the color is,
who knows? Right. But the thing is, like, who knows? Maybe he did have ill intent. But here's the thing: the police put it out. Your neighborhood is safe. But what happens is when we hear about it on the news, what happens? Well, they're out everywhere trying to snatch girls. And you know what? That guy was a sex trafficker, and he was trying to. Maybe he was a guy going, "Hey, didn't I go to school with you girls?" And maybe he was trying to ask one of them out. I don't know. I have no idea. It sounds like they got him, and be on the lookout. Okay, all right. Let's not be paranoid though. Let's not live. That's all.
By the way, you ever ask somebody about the color of their car when you're not sure what it is?
No.
So I did this yesterday at a Delta Sonic. This guy had this.
Why would you?
So
what
color? Here's what was weird about it.
Colorblind.
Yeah, but it was a gorgeous. It was like tiger eye gold. Okay, so I've never heard of this color. This was an Acura. It was beautiful. So I pull up alongside him, and he gives me this weird look. So I give the signal like to roll down the window, which, by the way, is kind of obsolete now because now you have buttons in cars.
Yeah.
So it looks like I'm giving him the J.O. sign.
Okay.
And he's like, what? I'm like, roll your window down. So
you want to roll down the window to find out that
because you're sitting against his car. I go, hey, what color is that?
Are you Larry David?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
But he was cool. He was like, oh yeah. And I go, well, I'll save up like $60,000 to buy a car like that. He goes, oh yeah, I'm broke. He said that, but it was a cool color. But I wanted to know what the color was so I could ask. Hey, do you have a tiger eye gold cars? Next time I buy one.
So cooler looking.
When I go to Victor Chrysler Dodge Jeep, I could ask Carm, do you have tiger eye gold?
Cooler colored cars.
Yeah.
Better safety today. Better safety in pretty much everything from your technology to your cars, right?
Yeah.
So what is a bad thing? We're more tolerant of kids dressing up as cats than we were 30 years ago. I'm going to give you something that I think is bad.
Okay.
That has happened. I think our ability to focus because of social media has significantly dropped.
Oh, absolutely.
Our attention span. And I bring this up because there was a 2003 study by the University of California, Irvine, found the average attention span in 2003. The average attention span, how long do you think it was? Now, none of them are extraordinarily long, but the average attention span. So you're saying above and below, but the average in 2003.
8 seconds?
Not 8 seconds.
Okay.
2 minutes and 30 seconds.
For are we talking about watching a segment on television or like a teacher?
Yeah, just your attention. Like, right. How long do they have to try to get you to suck in? So you would give something like 2
minutes. The radio, they
to
used to tell us you have 8 seconds.
8 seconds. In 2012, the average attention span dropped to 75 seconds. And I don't know what they're doing to test these. I have no idea. But they call it popcorn brain now. It was a term that this guy,
first the lung, now the brain,
David Levy, coined in 2011. The term popcorn brain refers to a person's attention quickly jumping from thought to thought, like the kernels in a popping in popcorn. Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
I can't do a pop sound.
From thought to thought. So 75 seconds in 2012. Now the attention span for most people is about how long? It was 2 minutes and 30 seconds in 2003. We go about a decade later to 2012. The average attention span is 75 seconds. We go a little more than a decade, another 12
So it was 150 seconds, then it was 75 seconds. So if we're going by half-lives here, it might be something like 37 seconds.
You're not bad. 47 seconds.
Okay.
According to the UC Irvine. Over time, this consistent demand for attention and the rapid switching between tasks can lead to a feeling of mental restlessness for the brain, bouncing around as it struggles to maintain the focus on any one task for an extended period. I do wonder, now.
I've actually trained myself to leave my phone on my desk when I get home
Okay.
and try not to touch it.
Okay. The experience.
It's hard.
But it's very addictive. Like they're saying here, social media is a major contributing factor to the declining attention span, according to a psychiatrist at Plainview Hospital, in New York. The experience is extremely addictive, more addictive than any other activity because you have these small amounts of dopamine being stimulated on a very frequent basis, and to stop the pattern is extremely difficult. Over time, this constant demand for attention and the rapid switching between tasks can lead to the restlessness, bouncing around, according to Daniel Haig, who's a psychologist. But that's something that wasn't here 30 years ago.
Right.
And I do think that you've got to try to discipline yourself, because otherwise you'll be all over the place. And that sometimes shutting it down is the best thing you can do for yourself.
Well, dopamine is a drug and a chemical in your brain, right?
Yes.
And that's why they call drug addicts users. They also call social media users, smartphone users.
But the problem is, and I think we saw this over the weekend, I think it was Friday when AT&T went down. How many people were probably that were on AT&T or T-Mobile? I think they were also down.
Yes, T-Mobile. There are certain aspects of Verizon. It was like a string in Texas.
Yes.
It was like Houston, Dallas.
And they're saying that what it was a software update on their end, not somebody hacking. But you look at the dependency on the phone.
We're screwed.
It's not screwed. It's just that when I say dependency on the phone, who's called you last? What text can you not live with? Every one of us could be, but we hear it and we jump to it. We jump to it because we've trained ourselves to do that. And I think that that's bad. And we're constantly getting information. Some of it maybe not real. Some of it, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So now I just saw that news story on my phone about you better not let your kids outside in Ogden. Everybody in. You know what I'm saying? And I go, hang on a second. They know who they're looking for. Number one. Number two, they're not looking for you, so don't worry about it. Get outside, play. And yes, you should probably be with your kids. They like being around you when they're little. There's going to be a point where they don't want you around.
Right.
So go do
My
it.
father used to tell me that. Danny boy, when I'm dead, you're going to miss these days.
Yes.
Dad, I'm a high school senior.
Yes.
I lost the remote. Now get by the cable box and keep changing the channel until I tell you to stop. Then you can go out. Wait, go back. All right, keep going.
All right. We'll take a moment. I want to talk to you. I watched something over the weekend that I know you've watched, and I know you lived. You lived more than I lived.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Was it a doc?
Yes. And I will.
I love docs. My wife hates them.
I love them too. We'll get to that next. But first,